back to Ireland AM. Now, earlier this week, a massive breakthrough in the world of neuroscience saw the first successful UK gene therapy trial for Huntington disease.
Here to tell us what this means, live from London, is one of the neurologists who led the trial, Ed Wild. Plus, in studio, we have Fiona Moran, whose family has been affected by the disease, and Orla Russell, advanced nurse practitioner at Beaumont. But first, we will go to you, Ed, live in London. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. For viewers who may not know, could you tell us what exactly Huntington's disease is?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Ireland. Huntington's disease is a progressive neurodegenerative brain disease. Patients with Huntington's disease experience gradually worsening problems with movement control and their thinking. So it's a form of dementia, and also things like personality change and psychiatric problems. It's a really unrelenting illness in which people often become unwell in their 30s or 40s, so it's the prime of life, and then it gradually strips away everything that makes them themselves. Truly one of the worst brain diseases there is, not that it's a competition.
So unlike things like frontal lobe dementia or Alzheimer's, it actually strikes people in the prime of their life, but it can take quite a long time to advance to the fullest, I suppose, part of the disease. But this is what this new trial has done and given such amazing hope. You led the UK portion of this Huntington's trial. Can you tell us what it was and what it entailed?
Yeah, so the trial is an international trial, but the UK site was basically shared between London and Cardiff. So we worked very closely together. And the trial is a gene therapy. So one of the horrible things about Huntington's is that it's genetic. So it runs very strongly in families. However, that's also the thing that gives us the advantage when it comes to developing treatment, because we know what we need to do. We basically need to switch off production of a harmful protein in the brain. And that's what this gene therapy does. It's a reprogrammed virus that contains a set of instructions that reprograms our neurons to basically produce less of the harmful protein. Sounds straightforward, but it has to be given in a 12 or more hour neurosurgical procedure. But once that's done, the gene therapy is active in the brain for the rest of the person's life. So it's a one-shot treatment.
So for families watching today who may be affected by this 75% slowing in progression of it, what does it actually mean for them now?
75% slowing of the progression of HD, to be clear, is more than we could ever have dreamed, particularly for the first treatment in the history of HD that has ever worked to slow its progression. So the disease typically lasts 20 years, roughly, from onset to death. But if we can slow the progression by 75%, even in people with symptoms, that could be decades of high quality life. If we can treat to prevent onset, we could be giving people decades of completely disease-free life. And for the first time, our patients who otherwise would have developed Huntington's disease may live to old age or die from old age, never experiencing Huntington's disease symptoms. That outcome is very much within reach with such a big effect.
Okay, that's absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Ed, we'll come back to you shortly there, but now we'll go over to Fiona.
Fiona, now you sadly lost your husband Padraig in 2015.
Yeah.
When did you first become aware of Huntington's disease within your family?
When I met Padraig was always very, very open. His father had been diagnosed, though not genetically, because the gene wasn't discovered until 1993. So his father was diagnosed by a neurologist in Beaumont, in the Mater, in 1986. So I met Padraig in 1988, and he was very open. He said his father had this disease, and he had a 50-50 chance of developing it. So when you're in your 20s and you're totally in love and you're yours and you look and you see somebody in their 60s and you think, that's ages away, that's not going to bother me. So we just parked it and literally parked it, and we got married in 1993. And when we came back from our honeymoon, they had a big celebration in Trinity. They had just discovered the genetic gene on chromosome 4, which was as big a breakthrough as this is now. And I didn't really know that much about it. There was no internet, there was nothing in the books. So I didn't know really anything about it. So they said, it won't affect you, we'll have a cure by, we've discovered the gene, we'll have a cure, it won't really affect you. So we parked it and we had a great life. We went on, we had 3 children. We had, Porrick was a detective, sergeant in the Guards, and he was on the peak of his career. And he was such a family man, such a big into sport. He had an All-Ireland medal for Offaly. And we had a very happy 22 years. And then unfortunately in 2012, I noticed some symptoms. And we thought, maybe this has come to haunt us. So we had the genetic test done and he was positive on September 2013. And he sadly, very suddenly, died in the 50th anniversary next weekend, the 5th of October 2015.
It advanced so quickly. I mean, even though you knew in the back of your head, it's always a shock when it happens. But you mentioned the genetic component, and that's key in the treatment we discovered today, and of course in knowing if it will happen to anyone in the future. But if your daughter has tested positive,
I have 3 children, 3 beautiful children. My daughter is 29, and I have twins, boy and a girl. They're 26, and my daughter wanted to test, and she felt that she was having some symptoms. She felt she wasn't performing how she should be. And yes, she tested positive in December 2023. And she has some significant symptoms. And I really want to raise awareness, because she is struggling in the sense that people don't know what it is.
What does this news mean for her, though?
This news means...
And for your entire family?
Yeah. This news means that they have a future. They're not grieving. Like, she's not going to grieve a future that she thought she didn't have. Maybe she does now. And, it does give hope. It gives hope that a cloud over a family, because it's not only affecting one person, it's a family disease. And it was a cloud, and this is a beacon of light that we have, that I had 32 years ago, and now it's... So I'm hope. It's great.
Yeah, it's great. Orla, we're going to come to you now. You are the only Huntington's disease specialist nurse in the country. What does your role entail on a daily basis?
So I started in my post approximately 1.5 years ago, and prior to me starting in my post, there was no Huntington's outreach service in Ireland. And if we compare our population to Scotland, we have the equivalent population to Scotland. So therefore we probably have the same amount of people living with Huntington's in Ireland than we do in Scotland, which is approximately 800 people and about 3,000 people at risk. But I do believe those figures are actually a lot more. But Scotland have, in each of the 7 cities, a multidisciplinary team that deal with Huntington's disease and outreach services. And unfortunately in Ireland, we don't have that. We just have myself and the consultants. So while this is a really monumental day and really exciting and something that the Huntington's community has long awaited, and it's absolutely amazing, we do need to kind of take a step back now and look at the services in Ireland and how do we improve these services in Ireland so that A, we can provide good quality care today, but also that we're planning for the future and being able to deliver these disease-modifying therapies to people.
And just raise awareness of it as well, because many people don't know, because it's neurological. It can be mixed up with Parkinson's and other forms of dementia, but and the stigma as well, which can be significant because of the way it progresses and manifests itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And it manifests in midlife, so in the 30s to 50s majority of the time. And that's when people are at the peak of their careers or having children. So education and awareness, even among healthcare professionals, it's crucial. Ed said earlier on that it's one of the most devastating brain conditions, and it really is. And it's just unfortunate that it's gone underserved for so long, and we really need to think about how we can improve and feed resources into providing care for people living with Huntington's.
Indeed. So, despite the fact that we do have this amazing news today, we have a lot of work to do.
We have a lot of work
still
to do
in terms of looking after people here in Ireland who may have more advanced
absolutely
manifestation.
But
of
also
disease,
so that we can also deliver these treatments to people as well in the future.
Ed, we'll bring you back in now finally before we leave you. How hopeful are you now that this treatment will change the lives of families? Because you mentioned it's a very long neurological operation. It's very invasive. It's very expensive as well. So how long will we be waiting for this to make a significant difference?
It's very difficult to give it precise timelines, but the company that makes the drug Unicure is going to be pressing ahead with full speed to get the drug licensed, initially in the US, but I don't think they'll waste any time coming to the EU. And the European Medicines Agency does have a fast-track process for treatments with what they call unmet need, which is the understatement of the century when it comes to Huntington's disease. So I think it'll get approval pretty quickly. I'd be surprised if the regulators turn it down for approval. But the cost and the infrastructure is going to be the real sticking point. Fortunately, and it seems strange to say that, Huntington's disease, because it makes people so unwell for such a long time, is already a very expensive thing for every healthcare system today. So what we're talking about is a treatment that costs a lot up front, but then because it gives people hopefully years or decades of disease-free life, the healthcare systems will save money that they're already spending. So, and the other issue is going to be the capacity of healthcare systems to deliver this neurosurgical procedure. But we already have similar things happening. Parkinson's disease patients get treatment with deep brain stimulation, and this operation is rather similar to that. So it's going to be a big ramp up. People like Orla and me are going to be very busy for a while, but it's the kind of busy we've been hoping to become for decades.
Okay. Ed Wild in London, thank you so much for joining us on the show this morning. And of course to Fiona and Orla, thank you for sharing your stories. There's lots more still to come this morning.